Within the world of ceramics, plaster molds are used to make duplicative objects. The molds are vessels which facilitate mass production and mass consumption. My artistic practice turns a critical eye towards this type of rote production and asks how we can instead turn the molds normally used to make repetitive identical pieces into vehicles for unique, one-of-a-kind pieces. Break the Mold is a series of lamps, vases, and photographs which deconstruct and reimagine traditions of craft to produce objects that are novel and beautiful in their imperfection. I hope this work will inspire people to embrace and celebrate their idiosyncrasies rather than conform their lives to predetermined forms. My practice frequently involves discarded materials, giving new life to objects that are deemed unusable or outmoded. To understand something, you have to be able to break open and then make it new. I aim to make work that puts a fresh spin on objects that often appear ordinary or unsuspectable to change. For Break the Mold, I engaged old plaster molds produced between the 1970s and the 1990s that I found in the basement of my cousin's ceramic factory. The slip casting process used for this group of works is common in commercial mass production and traditionally yields materials that are sanded and glazed to perfection, every piece precisely mirroring the others. For my series, I disrupted this process by removing the forms prematurely from the plaster molds before their clay walls were fully hardened and manually shaped their fragile forms into something unexpected. In this flimsily state, they were poked and prodded out of sameness, forced to stand, if a little clumsily, come on, nobody's perfect, on their own feet. My work in ceramics springs from a deep familial and cultural history. In the 1950s, my grandparents left Italy for Canada, where my grandfather applied his knowledge of ceramics to making lamps. Growing up, I spent weekends in my grandfather's and father's lighting factory, roller skating down the long hallways lined with fixtures and shades, and playing hide and seek amongst the boxes with my siblings. As a teenager, I spent summers helping out in the factory, and after college, I moved to New York to work with architects and designers in the lighting industry. Now, retracing my grandfather's footsteps back to the Italian town of Nova di Bassano, almost 70 years after he first left, I am on a journey to create my own clay forms. Sorry, I get Now, retracing my grandfather's footsteps back to the Italian town of Nova di Bassano, almost 70 years after he first left, I am on a journey to create my own clay forms that honor and expand on the craftsmanship and legacies of ceramics in this historic place. Each one of my unique lampshades is crafted from fabrics made in the Veneto region and manufactured between 1950 and 1990, a time span that encapsulates the year of my grandparents' immigration, my parents' birth, and the year I was born. By adorning these lampshades with fabrics originally used for objects, fashion, and interior design, such as silk, velvet, and wall coverings, I suggest different relationships between the viewer and the figure of the lamp. The collection also includes a series of photographs depicting my clay constructions. The photographs are a conceptual work that stand alone, but are also inextricably and forever tied to the tangible material reality of the lamps and vases they document. Printed similar to life size, it feels as if the objects themselves are stepping out of the images and into your physical reality. A memory brought to life. The clay forms of the lamps are collaged from multiple different plaster molds, modified to make each piece distinct. Stacked in precarious configurations, they seem almost to buckle under pressure. My white ceramic vases are willfully lopsided and asymmetrical, like the clay and glass vessels in the Giorgio Morandi paintings, which warp and melt as if from heat. They wobble and wilt like the flowers they hold. Seemingly pliant, tractable, and yielding, the ceramics stagger and trip over the even table surface. The vases, when empty, recall the factories left vacant and unused in Nove. In my images, empty vases sit in the stark lighting. The sun goes up and down, and it is as if years go by. The vases represent objects abandoned in these factories, bathed in beautiful lighting, but left waiting for the town to wake up and rediscover them. The vases, like the factories, require active investment to be brought back to life or activated. By placing flowers in the vases or turning on the lamps, we can completely change the light and the energy of the space. This activation represents my desire and the effort to help revitalize the factories in the town of Nove. When the lamps, vases, and photographs come together in a room, they juxtapose in various combinations, creating unique installation effects. Much like a painted diptych or a triptych, the formal qualities of the pieces amplify and interact with one another to create a conceptual experience that is greater than the sum of its parts. For centuries, Nove has been a thriving center for clay harvesting and ceramics production. With globalized outsourcing of production today, Nove di Bassano has deteriorated and begun to lose its material knowledge that made it a ceramics hub for generations. My work aims to keep this history alive while helping usher in a new renaissance for the town of Nove. Part of the proceeds from each piece sold in the Break the Mold collection will be given to the Fondamenta, which proposes to reinvest in Nove's legacy, stimulating job opportunities, constructing systems of support for local potters, preserving knowledge of ceramic production, and creating opportunities for the international artist community to engage with and learn from Italian artisans. My name is Jenna Basso Pietrobon, and I have a great love for the town of Nove. I hope that my work, in some way, can create energy, attention, and work opportunities for the craftspeople and the industries of the town. By starting at a local scale, I believe it is possible to have immense global impact.